Good morning, guys. This is your buddy Big Money for Eternity, and I am back with another video. I would like to welcome you all to today's topic. Today I'm going to share with you a story that happened when I took my first job as a daycare aide for school-aged children. This happened probably about 8 years ago? No. Probably about 15 years ago. I was at my job, went to work one day, and when I get there, my job is usually to go in. My job was to go in, get the snacks set up for the kids who wanted it, and to, wait for them to come in, get some of them to start their homework, or, make sure that they get in and behave themselves until their parents came to pick them up. So on this particular day, I had my usual 25 kids, and they all came in, put their stuff in their cubbies, went to get snack if they wanted it, or went to do their homework if they wanted to do it, or even went to go play if they wanted to go play. So everything was running smooth as normal, business as usual. Kids were doing what they usually did, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Well, as time went on, it was probably maybe about an hour after the kids arrived, I heard a commotion. And 2 of my kids were in a disagreement over playing a certain game. So I started to go over to try to rectify the situation. And as I was going to help solve the problem, I noticed that one of my kids was following my boss around, trying to get her to help him with the problem. So I watched, and because I didn't want to, interrupt, because I figured she'd take care of the problem, everything would be cool. So I watched, and he was trying to get her attention. Well, she was walking off, completely ignoring him, just, being her typical self. But I figured maybe he wasn't speaking up loud enough, and she didn't hear him, she didn't hear him, or whatever. So I waited a little bit before I stepped in. Well, we had in our daycare center, we had those long tables like you see in the cafeterias at schools, where they're real big long tables for multiple kids to sit on each side. Well, she was about halfway through walking between 2 of those tables with one of my students following her. And he finally gets her to stop. Well, when she turns around, he starts to tell her what's going on, what the problem is. Well, he no sooner starts to talk to her about what the problem is. And guys, what she said to this child, I will never forget. And it infuriated me so bad that I almost quit my job that day. She turned around, looked that kid straight in the eye, and proceeded to say to him, she looked at him right in the eye, and she says, "You're pathetic." And she just turned around and walked away. Now, y'all, there's not a lot that infuriates me more than somebody who talks down to a child. I don't like it. I don't tolerate it. And if I see anybody doing it, you're going to hear from me. I waited until she was far enough away where I know she wouldn't be able to hear me. So this poor kid, he's standing there looking like he just lost his best friend. I felt so bad for him. So I get him, I call him over to me. I said, "Come on over here, I want to talk to you." And I was very nice about it. And I said, I told him, I said, "Next time you have a problem with one of the other students," I said, come to me, bring the other student with you, we'll sit down, we'll talk it out. Because I said, going to her, I said, you're not going to get anywhere. So that's what he did from then on. But guys, it took every ounce of willpower that I had not to go up to my boss and tell her where to stick it. Because you have no idea how bad that just infuriated me to no end. And I don't care if, I don't care what her problem was. The thing about being a daycare provider is that you are providing a service to other people for you to watch their children while they're at work until they can come and pick them up. And that does not give that person the right to talk to another person's child the way she did to this poor kid. I don't care who she thought she was. You do not talk down to a child like that if the child is not yours. If that's the way she wanted to talk to her own kids, that's her business. But in my opinion, you don't talk to a child that way if that child is not yours. So, it took every ounce of willpower that I had to not go up to her and tell her off and walk out and never go back again. Because I was livid. And then I remember I stayed at that place until the year 2000 when I was finally able to. I had to quit because my family got another job. My mom and dad got another job out west in Colorado, and we had to move out there so they could start work out there. Well, after that we moved to Kentucky, but then after like 3 years after that we moved back here to Maryland where I live now. And I went to a carnival one night not long after I moved back to Maryland, and I ran into one of the kids that used to be at the daycare that I worked at, who's not a kid anymore. He's in his 20s, or he was in his 20s at the time. And we were talking about, working at the daycare center, or me working at the daycare center. And I will never forget what he said to me when we were talking. He said, Mike, one of the things that I always liked about you is that even with as bad as we may have been on the days when we came into that daycare center, he says, you never once yelled at us, and you were always fair to us. And I take pride in that because when I was younger and I was in school, I was bullied. I was bullied until, I was bullied like ridiculously. And I promised myself that no matter whether I was working with kids or watching kids or whatever, I promised myself I would never be a bully to a child. And I've stuck to that rule to this day. And I don't care what my boss would have wanted me to do. I would not stoop to her level and treat those children the way she treated that kid that one day when she turned around and she told him to his face that he was pathetic. And it was all I could do to not go to that woman, that child's mother, to not tell her what my boss had said to him, and tell her so that she knew what kind of person she was dealing with. Because that young man did not deserve being spoken to like that by her. It just infuriated me to no end whatsoever. And I still cannot, to this day, cannot believe she did that. Because I don't care what somebody tells me. If you want me to be a bully to a child, you're asking the wrong guy. Because I ain't going to do it. I take pride in the fact that I treated those kids as well as I did. I take pride in the fact that I took my boss's rules and I tweaked them to do the job that she gave me to do my own way. And I take pride in the fact that those kids enjoyed having me around when I worked there. And I have absolutely no regrets whatsoever on the experience that I gave those kids when I worked there and they stayed at daycare until their parents came to pick them up. I have no regrets whatsoever. If it meant that having those kids come in and putting a smile on their face if they've had a bad day at school, if it meant that I put a smile on their face, that's what I was there to do. You know, I felt like my job was not to only be an aide in that daycare center, but also to be a mentor and to be a friend to those kids. And if being a friend to those kids was illegal in that daycare center, then sue me, okay? Because I'm not going to change who I am just to make a former boss happy, and I'm not gonna stoop to her level of talking down to a child just because that's how she wants things done. And you guys want to know what's really sad about this person who treated these kids the way she did? You want to hear this? You want to hear something sad? The woman who ran this daycare center was a preacher's wife. Now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a preacher's wife is supposed to talk down to a child and treat them with the disrespect that this woman did to this one boy that day that I was at work. And I even to this day I have no words for, you know, what she did to treat these kids the way she did, treat this kid the way she did, because he was just going to her for help. And to this day, I will never forget the look on that poor kid's face when she said what she said to him. It absolutely broke my heart. And I hope I never, ever, ever see anything like that again. It just completely destroyed me. And I will tell you something else. There's no amount of money that the woman who ran that daycare center could give me that would make me go back and work there again. Because the experience I had there was the worst experience I have ever had working anywhere. Alright guys, I'm going to close this video for now. I've gone a little bit too long already. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my page and you'd like to, hit that red subscribe button down below. To all the new subscribers, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy your stay here on my page. Feel free to browse around my archive of videos and watch all the videos that you like. That's what they're there for. I like you guys have a great day, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow with a new video, because later today we are supposed to get some storms, and I hope we do not lose electric. Talk to y'all later.